Adrenal fatigue is more than just a trendy buzzword today. It's a serious condition that I've treated successfully in my clinic for close to 25 years now. And mainstream medicine, they don't even recognize it and they don't have a treatment for it. It's a serious health issue that challenges your body's ability to deal with the modern stresses of life. When you have a lowered ability to deal with any type of stress in life, whether it be mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress, and by the way, when your adrenal glands aren't functioning where they should be, it lowers your immunity and it can even shut down the immune system. So when you can't deal with these emotional stresses, mental stresses, physical stresses, you have a lowered immune system, you're not going to be able to live the life that you want to live. Understand, adrenal stress and adrenal fatigue, it can come on gradually over a long period of time. And if you don't address it, you're setting yourself up for a lifelong series of chronic health issues. Let me tell you a brief personal story about my experience with adrenal fatigue. So I was a three-sport athlete in high school, and I played Division I baseball, and it was a pretty strenuous type of an experience because we did a lot of running, a lot of lifting, a lot of endurance, a lot of weightlifting. And through my 4 years, I really didn't eat like I probably should have, didn't know what I know now. And so once I graduated from undergraduate school, I went out into the work field for a year or two. Then I really found my calling to become a chiropractor and natural health improvement doctor. So I went back to school, took my prerequisites to get into chiropractic school. And then for 3 1/3 years, I went full tilt, no breaks, no summers off for 10 trimesters. And each trimester in chiropractic school, you take about 30 to 35 credit hours of schooling. So it's very rigorous. We have anatomy and physiology, pathology, which is the study of disease, microbiology, the study of microorganisms, biochemistry. We took a 10 credit hour biochemistry class. So we're in class 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for one semester. So needless to say, it was very stringent. It took a lot of brain power, energy to get through those classes. And on top of regular schooling, I took a lot of postgraduate training during my chiropractic schooling. I took training in clinical nutrition, applied kinesiology, and other chiropractic techniques. So again, it was extremely rigorous, extremely stringent, and after 3 1/3 years, I was pretty wiped out. So as soon as I graduated from chiropractic school, I set up my own practice, and within 2 years, I was engaged, married, and had a child. And then after that, it was just the everyday rigors of life, raising a child, new family, building a new career. So during that time in my life, I didn't realize the stress that was accumulating in me and how it was affecting me. I just didn't realize the rigors of it. I just sort of gutted through it, powered through it, and being in my late 20s, early 30s, I could actually do that. But what happens when you hit about 30, 35, maybe you've experienced this, something just like a light switch turns off in your hormonal system. And actually what is occurring is growth hormone is not being produced in your pituitary gland like it was, and that growth hormone can override a lot of those stresses and strains, a lot of the poor dietary choices, lifestyle choices, but then all of a sudden it hits you, and then you really have to wake up and make some lifestyle changes, or you're going to have chronic health issues for the rest of your life. So that's what I was up against. At that point, I decided to really make some changes and practice what I preach. I continued to take postgraduate training in clinical nutrition and whole food supplements and diet. And then I really started to implement a lot of what I was learning on my own health. And I slowly, week after week, month after month, made some lifestyle changes, took some supplements, did some of the things that I'm going to recommend you do today. So stay tuned. And it really, really helped me recover from adrenal fatigue. Once I recovered from adrenal fatigue, what I needed to do is I needed to maintain, because my practice only got busier. We had another child. There are stresses, there are strains in all aspects of life. I mean, that's just life on planet Earth. in America anyways. And so it was a really an ongoing vigilant quest to make sure that I was taking care of myself and doing some of the things that I'm going to be explaining in just one second, because we're going to dive into some tips. But before we do that, I want to get into some causes of adrenal fatigue and actually more definitions of what the adrenal glands are, what adrenal fatigue is. So the adrenal glands are walnut-sized glands that sit right on top of your kidneys, and they produce adrenaline-like substances, basically hormones that help you deal with stress. Another hormone, cortisol, which helps you deal with stress and also keeps your blood sugar stable between meals. The adrenal glands are greatly reliant on electrolytes. They run on salt, basically. And how well you live in life is basically how strong and healthy your adrenal glands are. Let's talk about some major causes of adrenal fatigue. So one of the major causes is a severe loss in life, whether it be death in the family, death of a loved one, friend. It could also be a loss of a job or loss of a home or even a divorce. These can really sap our adrenals with all the major mental and emotional stress that goes with those things. Also, it could be just like I had it in my experience with school. You know, you're going through a professional school or graduate school, and it's very grueling. Going through that over months and years can really take it out of you, especially if you're not eating properly and taking care of yourself. So another major cause of adrenal fatigue, poor diet. Like I just mentioned, not taking care of yourself, not getting the proper nutrients that you need. And then to compound that, you're taking processed foods in, which are very stressful to the body, creating inflammation, causing your blood sugar to be unstable, consuming too much sugar or stimulants. And a lot of times you're going to do that when you have adrenal fatigue because the adrenals just aren't doing their job. And so you need to give them a little kick, and that caffeine or sugar will do that. But the problem with trying to survive on caffeine and sugar is when your adrenal glands are tired, you're basically beating a dead horse. You're milking those adrenal glands for all the hormones that are left to deal with stress until you just totally sap them. Other causes of adrenal fatigue, not sleeping enough. That's when your body repairs at night. And when you don't get proper sleep, especially a deep sleep, your body will not regenerate and rebuild itself. And lastly, working out too much or overtraining. I see quite a few athletes and very active individuals in my clinic, and it's highly common for high school and college athletes to overtrain. And when you're overtraining, again, you're beating a dead horse. Those adrenals just start to get tired, especially when they're not eating properly. Some of these athletes, too many energy drinks, not enough protein, too many carbohydrates, which causes unstable blood sugar. And over time, you're going to wear out those adrenal glands. And then one interesting caveat with adrenal dysfunction is the adrenals, they govern all of our ligaments in our body. And when they get tired, there's this reflex where the joints, they just get loose and lax. And then it predisposes an athlete to twisting an ankle, rolling an ankle, twisting a knee, getting joint problems. Next time you get a chance, go to a high school girls athletic event. What you're going to see is you're going to see every other player with an ankle brace, a knee brace. Some of them are going to be injured. And what you're seeing with your own bare eyes is evidence of adrenal fatigue. A lot of high school girls, for example, they don't get enough animal-based protein in their diet, so they can't rebuild and regenerate their joints and tissues. But aside from that, when you don't get enough protein on a regular basis, your blood sugar becomes unstable. And when that drops, the adrenal glands have to kick in to raise blood sugar. And over time, the adrenals just get tired from having to do that all the time from that lack of protein. Protein is critical for recovering the body and recovering from adrenal fatigue. And we'll touch on that in just a sec. So how do you know if you have adrenal fatigue? Well, here's some of the adrenal symptoms that you might be experiencing. You're tired all the time, or you just don't feel right. You just can't put your finger on why you don't feel well, but you just don't feel right. that's a telltale sign that you probably have some form of adrenal fatigue. Maybe you hit an afternoon wall, 2-3 o'clock comes along and your body just crashes. Or maybe you have sugar cravings in the mid-afternoon or after dinner. That's also a sign that your adrenal glands are tired and need a quick boost. Maybe you have loose, crackly joints. That's another sign of adrenal fatigue. Maybe you have weakened nails that are weak, maybe they peel. Definite sign that you probably have some form of adrenal fatigue. And lastly, craving salt. Salt is a very accurate food craving. If you crave salt, you need salt. Now, I don't mean potato chips, that type of thing. You have to delineate, is it just the carbs that I'm craving? Because that's really sugar cravings. Or is it really the salt? Like, could you heavily salt your food and salt it even more to taste? The adrenal glands, they run on salt, and so that's a fantastic marker that you may have some form of adrenal fatigue. So now that you have a little bit of a background about adrenal fatigue, its signs, its symptoms, these types of things, let's dive into my 6 tips to eradicate adrenal fatigue. Number 1, you want to eat animal-based protein 3 times a day. So why do you want to do that? Well, animal protein is like a log on a fire. It burns slowly and sustains your blood sugar. Carbohydrates like bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, energy drinks, cookies, cakes, candy, all that stuff, all those high starchy carbohydrates and sugary foods are like kindling on a fire. You put them on, it starts the fire, and then it's gone. But those logs are what you want to sustain the fire, and that's what animal-based protein is. Now, if you're a vegetarian, you're going to have to find some really good plant-based sources of protein. So give that a shot. So when you do eat this protein 3 times a day, you're going to notice more of a consistency in your mood because your blood sugar will not be up and down. You will also notice an improvement in your energy level. You probably won't hit that afternoon wall like you once did, and sugar cravings will be much improved. I've talked a little bit about the harmful effects of sugar in this video, and sugar creates so many issues. I've seen it so much in my clinic, and I just wanted to give you a quick offer below in the description. I have a 6 tips to handle sugar cravings video. Feel free to take a look at that because it's also going to contribute to helping you recover from adrenal fatigue and adrenal symptoms. And along with that video is an online discount code for our Shopify store. Another tip for adrenal fatigue is Drenamine from Standard Process. So Drenamine is a product, it's been around since 1959. And what's interesting is I took this product growing up when I went to my chiropractor, and I happened to be rummaging around in the attic a year or 2 ago, and I found an old bottle from 1992 of Drenamine. So this product has stood the test of time. So why is this so great? Well, Drenamine has all the whole food nutrients that the adrenal glands need to repair and regenerate. So it's like genuine replacement parts to rebuild those adrenal glands. And what are those ingredients? Well, number 1, it has whole food vitamin C. An interesting fact is that the adrenal glands store more vitamin C than any other organ or gland in the body. The adrenals really need that vitamin C, and it's in whole food form, not just ascorbic acid made in a lab somewhere by a chemist, but these are food-based nutrients. Drenamine also has certain B vitamins, and it's great for people that have high blood pressure as well. Sometimes if you put people on adrenal support and the wrong adrenal support, it stimulates the adrenals and it can raise blood pressure. Well, in this case, it has certain B vitamins that regulate proper blood pressure. Lastly, it has some adrenal glandular extract from cow, from bovine. So you're getting, it's like an eye for an eye. I've used this product for many years off and on. I've put hundreds of patients on it. Can't say enough about Drenamine. Another tip for adrenal fatigue is consuming adequate amounts of sea salt. So you might be saying, Dr. St. John, sea salt? I thought salt was bad for me. Well, it's not. Sea salt is actually a whole food. We're not talking about Morton's table salt that has aluminum in it as an anti-caking agent, or Campbell's soup, or heavily salted processed foods. Okay, sea salt is a whole different creature. It's basically natural trace minerals and electrolytes that your adrenal glands run on. So what is Gatorade? It's basically an electrolyte drink, a salt drink with added sugar, which I don't recommend. But if you have adrenal fatigue and you especially crave salt, listen to that craving. It's an accurate food craving, like I mentioned before. So what I recommend for my patients is if they have adrenal fatigue and they crave salt, get at least 1/4 of a teaspoon of real salt, Redmond's real salt. That's the best brand. There are other sea salts out there, but there tend to be microplastics in some of those. So Redmond's real salt comes from Utah. It comes from an underground, prehistoric, dried up ocean bed, and it's totally pure. I've used it for years personally and recommend it to my patients. So don't forget salt. If you have high blood pressure, I have found in the majority of cases, consuming this amount of salt that I'm recommending is totally safe. It's really not the sea salt, but the other junky Morton's and regular table salt that tends to cause problems with high blood pressure. My next tip, ashwagandha complex from MediHerb. So this is a product that is truly fantastic for helping someone recover from adrenal fatigue. Ashwagandha is an immune modulator. It's an herb that modulates your adrenal glands. So if your adrenal glands are tired, it will lift them. If they are hyper and overactive, it will calm them down. Also in this are other herbs, licorice root, which nourishes the adrenal glands, some skullcap, and one other herb, and all of these work together harmoniously, and they have a synergistic effect. One more thing I'm going to mention about this product, ashwagandha has been known to put energy in reserve for people. If you take it over a period of time, it's actually going to help put energy in storage. So once you start to really recover your energy levels, think about having extra energy to burn. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Well, this can often do this for patients. Okay, next tip is you must sleep. Get adequate rest. Try and get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a night, okay? Get off the electronics at night, give your body a rest, and make sure that the climate is comfortable for you. Make sure and block out all the light so your pineal gland can produce melatonin and help you sleep. It's very important to sleep when you're recovering from adrenal fatigue because you're just tired and you need to recharge. Another thing that you should watch out for is strenuous exercise. Don't overtrain. Don't run miles and miles. You should do a nice leisurely power walk, some nice weights, but don't overdo it. Okay, you don't have any energy in your bank account. So when you start to recover from this and you have, say, $100, you don't want to go burn that, right? You want to build that bank account of energy. So before we get into the last tip, please leave a comment below if you learned anything today, and feel free to like and subscribe. I'm going to put out regular videos on many different health topics, and I'll tell you about the next one shortly. But let's get into the last tip, ProtoFood from Standard Process. So this product is truly a game changer for energy levels and adrenal fatigue. It has all of the essential amino acids that get damaged in the cooking process of food. And because we eat so many cooked foods, we don't get a lot of these essential amino acids. So this will supply that. Plus it has incredible whole glandular adrenal support. I've had many cases of patients that were really tapped out, that had lots of health issues, recover in a very quick way, especially their energy levels, with ProtoFood. I can't say enough about it. This product has been around since the 40s or 50s. It stood the test of time, and it's my go-to if someone is really tapped out and needs energy quick. So I gave you 6 tips for recovering from adrenal fatigue, and I just want to review the products. We had Adrenal, we had ashwagandha complex, and we had ProtoFood. And you can take one or all of these, but if you have a long-standing adrenal issue with some of the symptoms that I mentioned that have been going on for months or even years, it's not unusual for me to put a patient on all 3 of these at once. It's like a triad to help with the adrenals. So don't be bashful or shy to do that. You can try one, but going with all of them gives you the herbal support, the amino acid, whole glandular support, and then you have Adrenal with the B vitamins and the vitamin C support. So, hey, I hope you learned something. Let us know in the comments below. Feel free to like and subscribe, and check out my next video on thyroid health.